So, should men get married in 2024? What do y'all think?
Yes.
Yes. So, should men get married in 2024? That's a question we have today. And we have a guest speaker with us here, which is Rogelio Guerra.
Hello.
And Rogelio Guerra is a good friend of ours, and he's been working very well and doing very, very good deeds in the church. He's been helping out with preparation ministry, marriage preparation ministry for 5 years, youth ministry for 12 years, and aside from all that, he's done other good deeds also. And he's been working and serving the church. He's always been a motivation for me and for others, and somebody to look up to.
Definitely.
And has a very good testimony and very good information to share with us today, especially working with marriage preparation ministry. So today we're going to have a couple questions for you, Rogelio. So do you think men should get married in 2024?
Yes, Tonyo. Edwin, hey, everybody. Hello. As you said, thankfully, God has called us to this ministry, and it has been a great blessing for me, for my wife, for our marriage, because we have learned a lot, we have grown a lot with this ministry, and obviously we have had a lot of experiences with other couples that are wanting to discover, what marriage is about. So I think, and to come to this answer of if men should get married, and I said yes, but there's a lot that comes with that yes. It's just not like a blunt yes. There's a lot that, you have to prepare with, and that leads you, to that yes,
So it's a more complex yes.
Exactly right.
Yes, because marriage is not for everybody. So there's 3 vocations, and we'll talk about this more in depth within another episode. But you have 3 vocations. You can stay single but serve the church as a layman, or you could get married, or you can go into sacramental orders. So you could be a religious brother, a priest, a religious sister, but that's sacramental orders. So those 3 vocations, marriage is one of them. So marriage is not for everybody, but if it is for you, say yes.
Yeah.
But let's prepare first, right?
Exactly.
So that's what you're in charge of, or you help out with marriage preparation classes.
Exactly. They take approximately 6 months. So we start in June, end about in November. So a lot of people are scared, when they come and say, yes, I want to get married, and they're all excited because they're thinking, oh, we about to get married, the party and all this going on. And then they come and talk to you and say, how do we do about getting married? And then you say, well, there's a course that you must take before, you can have your mass and get ready for that day. And they're like, how long? And we're like, it's going to take 6 months. And they're like, whoa, they don't expect that, and they don't realize how important it is that they prepare for such a day. Yeah. It's a lifelong commitment that you're about to do that I think 6 months is not even enough. Yeah, it's not. It should be more. But, that's what we do right now, and try to let people really define exactly what they're getting themselves into. We want people to get married, but get married the right way, knowing exactly what to expect, knowing what has to be done in order for them to really live out the sacrament.
Like what they're getting into.
Exactly. Exactly right.
Definitely.
Okay, going off of that question, Rogelio, why do you think men are scared to get married? Why is it something that they don't look forward to?
Honestly, I think it's because, like we just mentioned, they don't have they have not defined what marriage is. I think they think marriage of something that it's. I think they believe that marriage is gonna expect a lot from them. I think they think that marriage is gonna be something that it asks too much of them. Is asking them to be with a person for a long time, and I don't think people right now, the relationships are just not. They don't prepare or they don't strengthen those relationships to the point where they can say, this is the person I want to be with this person for the rest of my life. I think society is telling us now that, you know, marriage is just as long as you're happy, it's all good. But as soon as things don't get, as soon as things get bad or ugly, okay, to the next one.
Yeah.
It's just marriage doesn't offer happiness. You don't get married to be happy, right? I mean, there's a side effect, or not a side effect, but a
result
of marriage. Also, you do want to be happy, but you don't get married just to be happy.
That's not the sole purpose.
That's not the sole purpose.
Yeah.
And guys could get married. Specifically, guys could be scared of marriage because they don't know what marriage is, or they look at marriage and for the wrong reasons. So like they're looking forward to get married for the wrong reasons, or they don't want to get married for the wrong reasons because they don't know exactly what it is. Right?
Exactly.
So it's either one or the other, no?
Yeah.
But in order to really understand why they're scared, what is marriage? What are they getting themselves into?
Yeah.
So
like, what is the definition?
Yeah, what is the
marriage?
definition of marriage?
Well, marriage essentially is the union of a man and a woman wanting to be together for as long as they can live and to procreate. You know, that means have offspring, have children, form a family, you know, and essentially that's what it is, you know, to live out a life with someone that's willing to share their life with you for as long as they live. And you do the same, you know, and like you mentioned, you want to be happy, and marriage is about being happy, but it comes with growing, with learning, with being able to adapt to another person, the way they think, the way they are. And I think that many people, that's the challenge, because people want things to be done how they want. They don't want to really sacrifice anything. I think they just want things to come their way and to be just for them, to their benefit. And in a marriage, you cannot be selfish, you know. And I believe that that's the reason why it's just scary for some people to say, man, I don't know if I can do all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They only want to receive and not give.
Well, yeah, because what is marriage not? Marriage is not an agreement. It's not a contract.
It's not a contract.
So it's not something that you sign, okay, I'm going to do this, but you have to do this. And when you stop doing this, then I'm out. Or the contract is only going to last 5 years and then I get my money back.
Yeah.
Or 10 years and then I get a refund, full refund.
Yeah.
No, it
That's not the way.
doesn't work like that.
Or even one of the worst ways is like only like as long as you're pretty, you know, I'll keep coming home, you know. But once that changes, I think I'm gonna change.
Yeah,
that.
this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so there's a lot to think about, but all that marriage is not a seek for happiness. Like we said, it does involve happiness, but it's not your sole purpose of, I'm gonna get married and I'm gonna be happy. No, it takes work. It takes work to be happy, right?
Exactly.
So there's other along with it other things, and then matrimony. The word matrimony comes from Latin matrimonium, where materi comes from the word mater, which is mother, and then monium, which is to take action. And so you're taking action and taking care of the mother. So the sole purpose, like you said, or one of the purposes of getting married is to produce offspring, to join into one, become one, because both the man and the woman come together to become one person, no longer two, but they become one flesh. So then that one flesh joins and becomes children. Those children are coming from the two, the mother and the father, and they come together to form one new being. Yeah. So that's beautiful.
The fruits of the love. Yeah.
Yes. So that's very, very interesting. And then marriage is a living sacrifice. You have to continually sacrifice and continually say yes. It's not like a one-time done deal where in the altar you say, yes, I do. And tomorrow you say no. And the next day, maybe. And the next day, yes, again. Or you only say yes when your anniversary is coming up. No?
Right. Or, Valentine's Day.
Or Valentine's Day.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's a continuous sacrifice.
Antonio, I think that it's important to know that in order for you to even, consider getting married, I think that you must understand what love is also. And because marriage, the base of marriage is love. If love is not genuine, if love is not present, then marriage is out of the question. Because everything you're getting ready to do, the sacrifice you're getting ready to do, and the commitment you're getting ready to do for the rest of your life is based out of love.
Yes.
I mean, you have to be 100% sure this is the person that you feel in your heart, that this is the person that you want to be with for the rest of your life, that you want to do everything you can for this person to be happy for the rest of your life. It comes out of love. And love is the main ingredient in the sacrament of marriage.
Yeah.
And
Everything
I think,
that's the root of it all.
That's difficult because, like you said, is a very love has been degraded or watered down throughout the years, where we may not understand what love truly is. Because if you think about it, a lot of times when we're looking to get married, we're thinking, oh, this person really loves me and I want to return the favor. But no, it's I love this person so much that I want to give myself to her.
Yeah.
I want to give myself up. It's not, okay, because she loves me, I'm going to love her. It's, I'm going to love her even though she doesn't love me.
Right.
But that's in marriage, so that's different for boyfriend, girlfriend,
Right.
But that's very interesting what you said.
Yeah, and when you mentioned that too, like one time, one of our priests that we all know, Father Bill John, one of the things he was clear about was when you're forming a relationship with someone, it's for the finality of matrimony. And when I first heard that years ago, I was like, what? Hold on. So you mean to say that when you're, you have a relationship with another person, be it your girlfriend or your boyfriend, one of the first things you have to think about, okay, could this person potentially be that one that I will spend the rest of my life with? And when I first heard that, I was like, okay, yeah, like, I don't know why I never thought about it that way, but it makes sense. And it's so funny because, like you were mentioning how, nowadays it's, love is just thrown, it's like word in the wind, it just floats around so easily. And it's like, oh, I love you, I love you. And
I love pizza.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love
so
pizza.
It's so like the true meaning of love has kind of like lost its meaning, really. Pardon the redundancy, but it's so funny how when kids are young, you never think about that. But, when you, like you're saying, once you know the true meaning of it, it takes a whole
different.
Yeah, it's a different ballgame at that
definition of it. And like you were mentioning that, when I think if you go out right now and, I know nowadays you have teenagers dating and 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds dating. I wonder if you go and ask them, that question, exactly what you're talking about, and say, hey, how long have you guys been dating? And they might be say, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. And you ask them and say, when you first started dating, was that something in your mind? Like, was that something you questioned? Like, oh, this could potentially one day be my wife, or this could potentially one day be my husband. Yeah. And I don't think that ever crosses your mind when you're dating. No. I don't think that's something that ever comes to mind and say, I'm gonna prepare myself because one day this could be my wife, or this could be my husband. And we go into relationships seeking the wrong things. And that's what Toño was mentioning. Yeah. Like, when you start dating, if we all had as a goal, like, if this is my vocation, if this is what I'm called for, when you start dating and you start a relationship, your goal being that one day this could be your calling, then the way you're going to live out that relationship is going to be the right way.
Right.
You're going to have all the values in that relationship, that will prepare you for one day, you have that sacrament. And when you don't really think that as a goal, and you don't say this is going to be the finality of my relationship, then you do things that are not proper of dating. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So let's say nobody goes into the dealership looking at cars and not wanting to buy a car. You go where the intention is that if you go to the dealership, you're kind of looking into buying a car. You don't go into the dealership trying to find clothes. You don't go into the dealership trying to find groceries. So you have to be looking forward to it. So why would you go into a relationship not seeking marriage?
Exactly.
So then, well, that's a start. I know that's a done deal, like a deal breaker. A deal breaker question: is this person that you're dating? Is this the person for you? Like, do you see yourself marrying this person? And if you don't, then that's something to think about.
Yeah.
And if you do see yourself marrying this person, then that's also something to think about.
Exactly.
There was one time, actually more than once, people have asked me, how do you know when that person is the one?
Yeah.
And it was funny because in the beginning, I guess I didn't really ponder on that question as much, and but over time, I've repeated the same answer to whenever they ask me, is so the person that you're with now, so look ahead into your life, into your future, 5, 10, 15 years, and then imagine the things that you're going to accomplish in life, your happiness, your sadness, your loss, whatever you're going to gain in life, whatever blessings God is going to give you. Do you see that person with you? Do you see yourself sharing that with that person? Do you see them supporting you in the good, but also in the bad? If you do, that's a very strong candidate for that. Obviously, that it's not as simple as that,
Exactly.
but it's a good indicator. Okay, maybe this person could be, So
Yeah, because maybe you see it that way, but does that person see
Exactly.
it that way? So
Exactly.
you're willing to give everything, and you think you're giving everything to this person, but then they're not responding the same way.
Right.
Well, you're not married yet, so that's something to think about. If you're giving your all, and this person is not giving their all, then that might not be a good
Right.
marriage. If you're not married, If you're married, then you need to start working on that.
you would live an eternal sacrifice of the
Yes.
marriage.
So yeah, if you're willing to give everything, but this person is not willing to give everything to you, then you have to think about that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're willing to do the sacrifice, but they're not.
Yeah.
And then you want to live like that for what?
Yeah.
Forever?
For your whole life, for your whole earthly life.
It's a good point that we're touching here, because I believe that if everyone that is new to dating, that is new to starting a relationship, if we all started thinking about it like how we're talking now, I think a lot of marriages would when that time came for marriage, they'll be so prepared.
Yes.
And a lot of stable homes would be established because
Yeah.
from the beginning you already had it defined, like what it is about, what what dating is about. It's about knowing that person, about giving that time, about it's a moment to just discover each other in good and bad. Obviously, it's you always learn something new about a person, but if you knew from the get-go, like a relationship, this is why we have a relationship, this is why we are dating, when the time that marriage came, you would be 100% sure of making that next step.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of homes, a lot of marriages from the start would already be like ahead of the game.
ahead,
You know what I mean?
And it would save a lot of people some time and some heartbreaks possibly
Yeah.
too, no? So yeah, that's very good. And then so what's your experience, Rogelio, as what was your view on marriage before you were married?
Oh man, yeah, that was if you would have asked me, back 16 years ago, or something like that, like marriage to me was not even an option for me, honestly. And this is saying it because my parents, they've been married now for 37 years, so it's not like I didn't see it, and it's not like it wasn't present in my life. Like my parents were role models when it came to marriage,
Yeah.
But to me, it was a different view, because it was like, I don't think it's necessary. If two people love each other and they want to live together, go right ahead. You're free to do it. And I knew that being together with that person, you were the one responsible for providing. You would be the one responsible as a man, or to be the man of that household, And to me, but it wasn't like, oh, we need to prepare. It was never in question like, oh, there's things that need to go beforehand before I go and live with this other person for the rest of my life. To me, marriage was like, we can get together. She likes me. I like her. We get along great. We can live together. Ain't no problem, And if it doesn't work out, then oh well, it doesn't work out,
Yeah.
And that, imagine a person that sees marriage like that, or relationships like marriage is not important. It doesn't matter. You don't need to be married to live with someone. Imagine someone thinking like this, and they do end up being with someone and living a life where they're not married, but they're in their mind is like, well, if it works out, great. But if it doesn't, everyone's free to go. You're free to go. I'm free to go. There was no harm done. Everybody just find another person to be with, and that's it. Yeah. I think to myself now that if that would have been the case for me back then, I would have think whatever relationship I was in, it would have failed because I have not defined exactly what I was set to commit to, and I didn't define it like that. To me, marriage was not something that had to be done to be with someone else.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that's what is seen. That's common nowadays. That's the common mentality nowadays, that marriage is just like changing clothes. It's like, oh, I'm gonna just try this on, I'm gonna see if it fits. If it doesn't, I'll just change it for a different size, for a different style.
Yeah, I'm on my fourth wife, and then going for the fifth. Like, man,
right.
When I got married, we went to because obviously you had to get married civilly, and we went to the courthouse. Yeah. And the person that gave us the document to sign and to legally get married, he was like, "So what marriage are you on?" And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what marriage am I on? Like, yeah, is this your first, second, third marriage? And I was like,
like I'm on level 3.
Like, this is so common, So like he would see it every day. He's like, I've seen people come here and they be on their 7th marriage, and you're like, what in the world? Like, where like that to me is why today is so important for us to really define the true meaning of marriage. Right. Because if not, next thing you know, you're gonna be on your 15th marriage. Because
I think we got the game wrong. It's not about accumulating points. Yeah, it's supposed to be the less.
There's points no bragging rights there.
The less points you have is better, but 1 is better than 0. But getting married once is better than not getting married at all. So 1 point is the max. Yeah. 1 point is the game game to win.
Yeah, it's either 1 or 0. Depending on your vocation. But it's pretty crazy. That's a common thing. It's a common unfortunately.
Thing. Yeah, but then so after getting married, and now you've been married for how long?
5 years. Thanks to God, yes, 5 years.
Yeah, so now in them 5 years, what is your experience compared to how you used to view marriage?
Oh man, marriage has been a blessing to me, a blessing in my life. I mean, the person that viewed marriage the way I just told you, I'm not that person anymore. Because to me, marriage, the sacrament of marriage, has made me into a better man, into a better person. Back then, I know that the way I was thinking and the way I viewed life and the way I viewed marriage was a disaster. You would base yourself on the wrong things, and you would really make mistakes and you would harm people because you were seeking the wrong things. So any relationship you went into, you kind of felt like you were using a person. You know what I mean? And that was wrong. And now that I look back and say, that was wrong. And that shouldn't be like that, because, when someone is with you and you want that person to be happy, but you don't ever think about it like, man, I feel like I'm doing this the wrong way. And I'm leading this person into doing wrong things. And to me now, marriage has been a blessing because it has given me freedom. I feel free in marriage. I feel like like marriage has given me the purpose of my life. You know, like I know that through marriage, God has spoken to me and said, this is where I know you will be free. This is where I know you will be happy. And I know this is where I called you to be, and this is where I want you to give fruits. You know, and this is so beautiful to know, like to understand, you know, what God is asking of you.
Right.
You know, and through marriage, he has done it. He's spoken to me. He's given me, you know, the discipline. He's given me the respect. He's given me all of that I can give to my wife. You know, that I can I'm that better version of the man I used to be to my wife. You know, and to me that's been the whole life-changing experience I've had with marriage. Marriage to me, if it wasn't because of marriage, I wouldn't be in the path that I am today. You know, that really, from the get-go, from when marriage even came into play, you know, and I say it's a blessing because my wife was the one that really changed things for me, because she wanted something real, something genuine. And I was still with that mindset. You know, when I met my wife, I was still with that mindset of, you know, doing things the way I used to, and still not making that change. And she said, you know, here is gonna be different.
Like, hold your horses.
Yes, yeah, like exactly. Like back then, you wanted everything fast. You wanted express. You wanted things to just let's go. You know, you skip a step and then, you know, like that. And you would just be trying to go fast, and because you have not defined exactly what you want to do with someone you're dating. You know, when I started with my wife and I started dating with my wife, certain things wanted to be like that, and she said no. You know, she said that's not how it's gonna be. You know, I want something real. I want something that it's really done the right way, and for that, there's things that are not right how you're trying to do things. So think about it. And you know, that was to me was like, what? You know, like what do I need to think about? You know, and she would tell me, and then you obviously start thinking and saying like, what is it that is not working? What is it that is not right? You know, and I start thinking, and then I'm realizing like, oh yeah, you know, I need to change. There's a lot of things that I'm doing that are not right, and you know, she was the one that really said, if you want something real, if you want something with me that is really gonna transcend, something that is just not gonna stay in another relationship and it's just another girlfriend and it's just not another boyfriend, then there's things that really need to happen. You need to start to admit those things and see those things to be that man that I want, and that woman that I want, and that woman that you want. And, you know, it was like a mutual thing to, you know, like, obviously she was saying there's things that are not perfect and I need to work on. And there's things that are not perfect from you and you need to work on before we set into this journey of marriage, you know. And that was an eye-opening. I remember, and I don't know nowadays if that happens, but I remember my father-in-law when she said, okay, I accept, you know, to date you. She said, well, my dad wants to talk to you, and he wants you to come and sit down and talk to him and tell him, you know, what are your plans? Like, what do you want to do? Like, what is it that you're seeking, you know? And
what are your intentions, son?
Yeah, what are your intentions with my daughter? Kind of things, you know? And I told her, and I said, but I mean, you're like 22 years old. Like, why do we like you're
you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, you don't. Yeah. I don't think you need his approval. You know, and that's the mindset. You know, but that's when everything starts to click, because you're like, well, you know, yes, I'm 22 years old, but you know, my father, you know, is someone that I respect. And someone that I like for him to know every step that I'm taking. And I want him to know that this is not a game. Because, you know, when you take someone to your house and you present them to your parents and you tell them, hey, this is Rogelio and this guy is somebody I'm wanting to talk to, someone I'm want to start a relationship with. I think your father or her father was like, you know, this is something serious. Mm-hmm. You know, this is not something where they just going out and hanging out and see what happens. You know, it's more like they're really thinking of this thing really going further, mm-hmm. you know, and that to me was something that was like, and when I spoke to him and he made it clear, like, this is not a game. And to me, that was something that really changed things, because you're like, you know, coming back to that, and it wasn't a mature mindset. That's what I'm saying. Like at that moment, you start to mature. You start to know like dating is not a game, you know. And back then you would think of it, well, you know, you can date, and if it doesn't work, you go to the next one, and you go to the next one, and that's how you viewed it. That's how it was. And when you start saying like, this is not a game, like you want a relationship, you do it the right way, and there's things that need to be changed, you know. And that's when this whole conversion, and this could take a long time, but that's when the whole conversion started.
And I think I don't know if you probably want to add something to that too.
No, well, I just wanted to say that you see this often, no? You work in marriage preparation classes. You see how the couples come in, and then through preparation, how they leave, and you see that drastic change, no? And hopefully for good, you know. But there's that change in the mindset that you have to go through from what you come in thinking that marriage is, and then how you through preparation you learn what marriage truly is, and then you have like that drastic shift, you know.
Right. Yeah, and I just wanted to add too, you know, for our viewers, you know, Ro had touched on two things that I think we should, you know, really emphasize. He spoke about how in marriage a man can be free, and I think that it really resonates, because maybe a lot of people that are viewing, that are listening, they probably like, how can you be free in a marriage? Like that's not possible.
You're tied up, man.
Exactly, and that's not, you know, that's not the idea. You know, marriage is just because you're married doesn't mean that now, like, you're a caveman and you can't do anything, right?
They say you tie the knot, but you truly unloosen it.
Exactly.
You unloosen all the knots.
And because the beauty of the marriage, you know, that it gives you that opportunity to be free of you, be yourself with this significant other, and that's the beauty of marriage, because it pushes you and it encourages you to grow with this person, right? And then it's so interesting. It's amazing that through marriage you actually learn who you really are, you know, and who your significant other really is. And that's a thing too, that one of the things that I think a lot of people, when they go into marriage, and you know, we all know this, you know, like the courting stage where you're like, you're talking to a girl, you're talking to a guy, you guys are getting to know each other, and all these things, all these emotions and fireworks start going off. Butterflies, yeah. And you know, it's like, I'll give you the stars and the moon and the sun and everything. You know, I'll bring the different planets to you if you ask for it. You know, and we start feeling things, right? And I think we have to be kind of careful there, because a lot of times we jump into things because of emotion, but we also have to be rational about certain things. But marriage is that process of growth, you know, with that significant other. And you know, we can go into this into further detail. We'll probably have to end up doing like a second part to this. I don't know. You know, you guys let us know what you guys think about this, or if there's anything in this conversation that you guys want us to go into deeper.
But he also said something that was pretty interesting. He said before he went into the journey of marriage. Exactly. So marriage is a journey.
Also another journey.
It's also another short journey. So because it's so short, we have to do it right. You know, you have one shot at this.
One opportunity. But also another part that I wanted to touch on too is how when you decide to embark on this journey, right, with the significant other, you know, in our case, you know, our wives, they compliment us, right? So they compliment us, and they push us, and they help us, they steer us to become the better man, right? But it's also through the day-to-day tasks, the day-to things that we learn every single day, on a daily basis. You know, that's what helps us grow, you know, and it's just so much in a marriage. And like I was saying, whenever we go into a marriage, a lot of times when after all this has happened, then we get married, and then the true colors start coming out, right? Oh, you leave the toilet seat up after you go to the bathroom. You know, oh, your socks all over the floor. And a lot of times it's those little things that unfortunately end a marriage, and that shouldn't be it. You know, like that's also another reason why I've always said that's where communication comes in. You know, like I don't know if you guys remember in one of the retreats that we were in for couples, one of I believe the deacon that was there, he was mentioning, you know, his story of how, you know, when they were you know, getting to know each other and you know, they were married. I can't remember if it was deacon or if it was just a couple like that was sharing their life story, and they were talking about how, you know, like they were near divorce, all because he would leave his socks on the floor when he got home from work. And it's so funny, like, to hear the whole story and how, you know, they had I believe there was a priest that was also talking about it with them. That was kind of like the third party to kind of listen to their story. And then he was like, hold up, wait a minute. So you're telling me that you guys are at the verge of divorce because of some socks on the floor? And they looked at each other and they started laughing because they had not realized that it was something as simple as that. But why? Because there was no communication there, right? Because the wife wasn't saying anything. She would just like observe and keep it quiet, and you know, it just kept going and kept going and kept going, and she never said anything. And then all of a sudden, some little thing, the last drop in the cup, that it overflowed, and then all of a sudden everything went crazy. You know, so what we would like to also, you know, point out is one of the things is communication, and, you know, conversations amongst, you know, the couple is you have to be clear, you know, about things, and you have to talk. You know, like we have to talk. Like you can't be in a relationship and not talk, right? So I just wanted to point that out too. I thought that was good. Pretty interesting.
Good stuff. So marriage is a work in progress. You don't go into marriage and you stop working on yourself. No, it's a constant thing that you have to keep adding, and keep adding. But there is a way to make it all easier if you just prepare before. Right. So that's the thing. Before you get into marriage, why not prepare? Before you play the greatest soccer game ever, obviously you're gonna go to your practices, you're gonna do the drills and you practice. But why not practice before the game? Some people show up to the marathon trying to run a 5K, and they didn't work out, they didn't run, they didn't practice, they start cramping. They didn't warm up, they start cramping midway, and then they say, you know what, I quit. So we can't do that. So we have to prepare before. So what do you think, Rogelio, are good virtues in a man prior to marriage in order to prepare him for a better marriage, or even prior to let's say seeking a relationship? What are good virtues that a man should have?
Well, to answer that, and when I was mentioning about being free, that to me, marriage gave me freedom, was exactly that, because I didn't have those virtues that I'm getting ready to mention to you, because, you know, I was attached to what society was telling me. You know, I was attached to what people thought was best for me, not what God thought was best for me. You understand what I mean? So I had to learn to let those chains go. You know, those chains of whatever I was imagining a relationship should be, you know, the wrong way. So it was like freedom was like, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right. So I had to get those chains off, you know, because I was going what I thought my friends thought was good, what society was telling me, like, this is what it's all about. It's about being with the woman. If that's not good, you go to the next one. The more you have, the more experience you have, the better, you know. So that was like you know, something that I had to let go of, and it was something that marriage did for me. It freed me of not wanting what people wanted for me, but what God wanted for me. And I know that God always wants me to be happy, you know, and you learn that through marriage. So what did marriage give me, or what virtues I received? I would say self-discipline, you know, knowing that there's a limit, knowing that you have to control certain desires, you have to control certain ways of reacting, of talking. You know, even the way you talk changes. You know, before you could be angry and you could use profanity, you could just say things out of just however, without even thinking of hurtful things you would say and hurt someone else. You didn't even think about it. You didn't even think the way that you talk was important. The way that you dress, the way that you just behaved was important, and self-discipline came and told me, like, every time there's a problem or every time there's a challenge, you have all the right to be upset or be frustrated, but you don't have the right to harm others because of that. Others shouldn't pay the price of whatever's happening. Like, so he gave me patience. He gave me self-control, respect, and that was one of the things I wanted to touch because, when you're in a relationship, respect is important. You cannot skip those phases. Like, you have to respect the phase that you're living in. It's dating, it's not marriage. There's things that are not proper in dating that are part of marriage, and you have to respect, and that's what I was saying. Like, back then you would think that you could be with a woman and don't have to be married to her, you know what I mean? And that was not right. And to me it was crazy because I saw this testimony. I don't know if you know Eduardo Verástegui, I was listening to his testimony, and he was saying, that someone asked him, like, what kind of man would you want for your daughter? And he mentioned the perfect man. I mean, someone that takes care of her, protects her, is there for her, really makes her happy. Like, it's, like the perfection of a man, and to me that touched me because, now that I became a father, and God gave me a little girl, and to me it was like, dang.
Yeah.
Another lesson.
Well, the second question that they asked him was like, and are you that man?
Are you that man?
Yeah.
Exactly right. Oh man, that touched me because, back then I was like I was that man that, like, okay, so you can do whatever you want. It's okay, no problem, but you don't realize that that's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's daughter. And now you tell me, and God is saying now, you have a daughter.
Yeah.
So what now? And to me, it's now like, well, now it's my responsibility to let my daughter know, the way she needs to value herself as a woman, as a girl, as and I want her to give her that example through her eyes. She sees her mother and I how a marriage should be. That's our task right now, letting her see through her eyes what she should expect if this is her calling one day. That I want her to know, like, a man respects a woman, a man has discipline, a man doesn't have to curse, and a man doesn't have to be violent and aggressive. I want her to know that a marriage is love, and that's our task. And obviously it has its challenges, like part of everything, but it's something that we're enjoying, something that we know that this is what we were called to do. You know what I mean? And that's what virtues are to me that marriage gives you. Like Edwin says, your marriage evolves, your marriage changes, and as you go, but I always respect self-discipline, and not more than anything, be a God-seeking man. I always know that nothing cannot be done without God. And that changes everything.
Amen.
Yeah.
Everything changes. That changes everything.
Yeah.
And being humble, man, knowing that you can't do it on your own. That you need God. And that to me was something that changed me as a person. And that's how I can give my wife the best I can give her as a man. You know what I mean?
No, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Touched all the good ones.
Yeah.
I'd say, definitely discipline. Discipline is very necessary in a man. Well, I would say that's what makes a man different than a boy. Discipline. Can you discipline yourself? Can you self-control yourself? Do you have that? Like, whenever a problem comes up, do you have that discipline to overcome it and know, like, the humility to accept that, okay, it might be me, it might not be my wife, it's me, I'm the problem, or I have this problem, I'm doing this too much, I'm over exceeding this. And I think humility is a very good virtue to have, because you got to know, a lot of people don't seek marriage counseling or marriage preparation classes because they're like, man,
Why?
I don't need
who
that.
are these guys that tell me how to live my marriage? Or like, I'm a man, I know what to do with my wife.
Right.
And no other man is going to tell me how I should treat my wife.
Exactly.
And maybe for women, it might be the same thing, but you see that very often. And so all that together, we need to work on.
Yeah, for sure. One time I heard this, like kind of like an explanation, or like a I don't know how you would call it, like a but basically, so what it says is, how do I know how to treat my wife, right? How would I know how to take care of my wife, and how do I know, like, what? And it was so awesome, like the way they explained it. They said, what you have to remember is that one day you will sit in front of a king, because you're with the daughter of a king, right? One day you will be in front of this king, and he will ask you, what did you do to take care of my daughter? And when I heard that, I was like, whoa, that is awesome. Because one day, we will be in front of God, and he will ask us, like, what did you do?
Look
to
what
take
I
care of
gave you.
Exactly. How did you grow? And your journey, how did you take care of her? How did you guys get better? How did you bring her to me? How did you guys help each other to come closer to me? And I thought that was awesome. So that would be a good way to, for those guys out there that are probably thinking, how am I gonna, like, take care of my wife or my future wife or this girl that I want to marry? Just remember, respect her like she's the daughter of a king. That one day he's gonna ask, "What did you do to her?" So.
And just pick up your socks. Come on.
Yes. Take care of that stuff.
You see, that's a very small, minor thing, but you see how far it went. Like your mom, I know your mom has always told you, what you trying to date somebody and you can't even clean your room. Like, seriously,
Right.
How are you seeking something outside of you when you don't even have your life under control? Your life as a man has to be under control.
Yeah.
You have to control your passions. You have to have that discipline, and all this that we've been talking about. It's something for you to think about and continue to grow in it, even married. But before marriage, you have to prepare in order to find this girl, this woman that's going to come into your life and help you with what you already have under control. If you have chaos, why even bring somebody else?
Yeah.
Because you're just going to add your chaos to her, or she's going to add to your chaos. So be under control with your life, and then find somebody who has their life under control. And it's not always going to be perfect. Like we said, we're not going to be perfect. Even in marriage, you're not going to be perfect, but it's a continuous journey.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to mention that, because when you're setting yourself to seek in marriage, I think that it's important also to break those chains, Daniel, like you're mentioning, because that person, you have to analyze yourself and be like, do I have these vices, these addictions? Am I this person that doesn't really respect women, or do I get angry easily? And a lot of this stuff, believe it or not, comes from the way you were brought up. A lot of these things come from what you saw growing up. Maybe you suffered trauma. Maybe you saw things that were not right in your home, with your parents or whatever you went through, and it shaped the man that you are today. It shaped the woman that you are today. And just know that if we don't heal certain things, and those things that we lived growing up, that's the man that you bring in to a marriage, to a home.
A broken man.
Exactly. A broken man will have a broken home, because you're gonna, whatever you saw, that's exactly how you are going to want to live out your marriage. And obviously there's gonna be conflicts, there's gonna be problems, and because there was never any healing.
Yes.
And I think that humility comes from admitting, and you have to admit, like, oh man, I have an issue. I have a problem that needs to be resolved. I have things that need to be healed. That because a lot of people will question themselves and say, why am I cold? Like, why am I not so affectionate? Or why do I react angry all the time? Or why am I not like being able to be like really playful or a clown with my children? Like, why am I just like dry? And a lot of questions and a lot of things, because they question, but there's a root to it all. And when it comes to marriage, and you're saying preparation is also, that individual. Like, I need to prep myself. Like, I need to make sure like I'm living the right way, and I'm taking away all these things that one day could be a problem to me in my marriage. I cannot take all those bad things that I'm used to into marriage, because they are going to create more problems.
Yeah.
They're going to really create more problems for you, and it's important that you make that analyze yourself from head to toe and say, man, like this is something that needs to stop now. Because this man cannot be the man that goes into being a father and being a husband. And I think that's super, and that's something that we, that's something that we in the marriage course and the marriage preparation course, that's something that we seek for the people that are there, for them to make that, analyze that part of their life and analyze themselves and say, this is something that needs to be changed. And just to tell you, I mean, in this ministry, you go and go to this course, and it's not because you're going to be, now that you live this course, it's because now you have to marry this person. It's not about going and, now you have to marry him. No, it's about knowing if marriage is my calling, if marriage is something that is the right fit for me.
Yeah.
And that's what we like about it so much, because we know that once you live the course, once you go through every single topic, 6 months, and after you make that decision of, yes, this is what I want, then we know, like, what you're going into. And that's why it's like a discernment for 6 month discernment of like, hey, it gives you clarity. It gives you clarity of, this is what I want to do.
Very effective classes. We attended the classes. Very effective, very well. So we have given a bunch of advice for married and non-married couples. But so final advice coming from all of us. What is the final advice that we would give a non-married or married couple?
I was actually just thinking about this. I think one of the things that, like, I've always, hold true to, the communication is really the key, right? But also, ask the important questions, not to like maybe to the priest and, the people around you, but to your significant other. You have to ask those important questions. Like, how important is God in your life? One of the main ones, how do you see finances? Because that is going to come up in marriage, and that is, personally speaking, that's also been one of the, maybe like our Achilles heel for us, is like, getting those finances, in place, and organizing your life, right? Financially speaking, because a lot of problems do arise from, finance, because of finances, be it that, you spent this money and we were supposed to pay this, or why'd you spend that? Now I want to go buy me something, So it's like things like those, I feel like you need to talk about before you get into marriage, because, like we say, once you're married, once you're officially said that yes, at the altar and in front of God, it's like a commitment for life, right? And we know there's certain cases where it does not work out, and those are special cases, and we could talk about that later, but before you go into that matrimony, I think you have to have certain conversations with your significant other, and like important topics that will actually give you clarity on this person and how level-headed they are, or, oh wow, I definitely have a lot to learn from this person, or we probably need to work on this a little bit.
Or we probably need to leave it.
Exactly. So I think communication and asking the important questions to the other, and covering all topics. Do you want kids? Do you not want kids?
How many?
How many? Are we willing to put our things aside to take care of the kids? Or it's so many questions, and I mean, there's infinite many number of questions. Everything. You have to be clear on things. You have to communicate. You have to talk. I think that's one of my biggest things there.
Okay. So, Rogelio, what's your...
I think more than anything, how we talked about, it's about defining marriage. You know, just having clear those vows that you will make on that day. You know, I will be with you when you're sick. I will be with you when you're healthy. You know, I'll be there when you have money. I'll be there when you don't have money. You know, I'll be there when things get ugly, and I'll be there when there's joyful moments. Like, I'll be there 100%. And that to me sums it all up, because if you know that that's the purpose of marriage, then that what you do, whatever you do, all your actions, or like finances, everything will lead you to always seeking the better and the happiness of your significant other. I mean, imagine someone telling you, I'm going to be there when you're sick. I'm going to take care of you. You're not going to be alone. You're never going to be alone. I'm going to walk with you. When things get bad, you have someone to lay your head on. You have someone that will always motivate you. Always tell you, you can do it. You know, always walk with you. You know, someone that gives you motivation, someone that doesn't care and doesn't put conditions to their love. You know, you need to do this for me so I can give you this. No, it's like, I'll give it to you because I love you. And I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Like, that's how important you are to me. Like, you're so important and so valuable to me that I want to be with you for the rest of my life. You know, and marriage is going to evolve. You know, you get married at 20 years old. You know, you imagine that man or that woman 20 years later, 30 years later. You know, they're beautiful and healthy and young and everything at 20 years old, but 20, 30 years later, you know, you get a little belly, you know, you get a little belly, you
get some gray hair.
You get some gray hair, you know, you might not be able to work, something happens, you know, are you willing to take on that, you know, that responsibility? Are you willing to be there for that person, you know? Are you willing to really stick it out and really know, like, hey, I committed myself to this man. I'm not running. You know, things get ugly and I'm not running. You know, I'm gonna stay there. I'm there because that's what I said, because I love this man. Because how we were talking this whole time, if you base it out of emotion, out of feeling, out of oh, she's pretty and she's healthy and she's got a nice job, or he's got a nice job and he's handsome and he's a Hulk and all this, you know, and if you base it out of that, when all that goes away, then what's left? Exactly. What's left? But if you know that this will change and things could not be as good as they are now, but you know, like, regardless of that, I'm there. Good start, you know?
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then my final advice is coming from the St. Francis prayer. And I love this prayer because it says, make me an instrument of your peace. So it also says, Master, grant that I may never seek so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. So it is not about intake and how much you give me, how much my wife gives me, and how much I need to receive, how much I need to be loved, how much I need to be consoled, how much I need to be understood.
Yeah.
It's about the opposite. How much do I give? And it's through giving that we receive, and it is through loving that we love, and it is and this is why I love this prayer from St. Francis, where this is it. If you want to be loved, then love.
Yeah.
And it's not, the important thing is that it's not how much I receive, but how much I give. So beautiful prayer. That's the advice from all of us. And we have a lot of different ways we can go with this topic in marriage. So let us know what you need to hear from us and what you need to hear from Rogelio Guerra, because he has a lot of good information. He's been on this for 5 years. So very interesting stuff. And so we would say life is a short journey. So get married or don't get married without preparation.
Without preparation. Exactly.
Okay. So don't get married without preparation.
Yes.
And life is a short journey. So why not say yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Say yes.
All right. See you guys. Thank you, Rogelio.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Edwin.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It was awesome.
Very good conversation.
Yes, definitely.
All right.
We'll see you guys.
Pax et bonum.
Pax et bonum.
Pase bueno. Pase bien.